Hey guys, this is Candle, and welcome to another collection update. Well, actually, the first collection update since I last posted all of my collection back here back in, what was that, March, April, something like that. I've been meaning to do this for a while. I got a decent stack here, so let's go ahead and get into it, all right? So first up, I did get a kind of a grab bag of a bunch of different things, but ooh, I almost forgot to grab one thing off the shelf. May as well talk about that now. Just go ahead and start with that. So I finally picked up a copy of Harvest Moon for the Super Nintendo. Now, this is unfortunately a reproduction cartridge, and I bought it knowing it was a reproduction cartridge. It only cost like 15, 20 bucks. But the reason why I got a reproduction cartridge on purpose is because this game is pretty super expensive. I mean, this is pretty much like my holy grail for game collecting is a complete in box copy of Harvest Moon for the Super Nintendo. And that usually runs around like $400, I think. The cartridge itself, just the cartridge, an original cart runs around like $200. So you can see why I went for a reproduction, just to have it in my collection so I could play it again. And it looks really nice. The only thing I'm not really liking about it is the label. I don't know if you can see it right here, but the label is not quite on entirely straight. And so that's like the only thing I'm not liking about it. But it does run on an original Super Nintendo hardware. It also runs on a Retron 5. So very, very glad to have that. It's very fun to play. I love that game so much. Anyways, back to what I was talking about earlier. I picked up Call of Duty 2 for the 360. I haven't actually started this yet. I've always been a fan of the Call of Duty campaign, so I was very disappointed when they announced that there was going to be no campaign for Black Ops 4. And so I still haven't gotten Black Ops 4 because of that. But I am looking forward to Modern Warfare coming up soon, the remake. But Call of Duty 2 was one of the actually this was the first one to appear on the 360, I believe. And so all I'm really missing up for my 360 Call of Duty collection is Call of Duty 3, World at War, and then I think Black Ops 3 and maybe Ghost. I don't remember if Ghost was the first or the Ghost may have been the first one to be exclusively on Xbox One and PS4, but I don't remember. Anyways, Call of Duty 2, and then I also got Steel Battalion. Now, the original Steel Battalion on the original Xbox can get a bit pricey too, because it had this big massive peripheral system to come with it for like all the controls and everything. That's usually like $300 just for the controllers or something like that. But on the 360, once they did the Kinect, they also did a remake / sequel of Steel Battalion that used the Kinect. So this is a Kinect required game. You know, you have to have Kinect to play this game. And I haven't actually tried it yet, but it says like it uses both the Kinect sensor and the 360 controller. But we'll see about that eventually. I did also expand my 3DS collection a little bit because you can actually see it if I can move the right direction. There we go. Right back here, I ended up picking up a new 3DS XL as well because I know the 3DS is on its way out. Nintendo is refusing to admit it, but the 3DS is on its way out. And so I ended up picking up a few 3DS games as well to help with that. So I got Star Fox 64 3D, fun game. Just a remake of Star Fox 64 for the Nintendo 64, which was a remake of the original Star Fox for the Super Nintendo. I also got Majora's Mask 3D, again, another remake of an N64 game. I also picked up Luigi's Mansion, not as good as the GameCube port. I really wish they put this on the Switch. I don't know why they did it on the 3DS other than the fact that Luigi's Mansion 2 was on the 3DS, but they had already announced Luigi's Mansion 3 for the Switch, so it's like, why not put Luigi's Mansion 1 and 2 on the Switch as like a collector thing? And then I also picked up Bravely Second and Lair. Now, none of these games are new 3DS specific. There are actually only like 4 titles that are specific to the new 3DS. But Luigi's Mansion, because it uses it's also compatible with the C Stick, the Circle Pad Pro. It also uses the C Stick on the new 3DS, and then the same thing with Majora's Mask as well. And then I also got the Secret of Mana remake for the PS4. Now this is a PAL copy, which I unfortunately had to get because, well, here's what happened. I've been searching and searching for this in stores for a while because it's exclusive to GameStop here in the US. And so I kept searching for it and I found a copy, but it was their last new copy. And for those of you who don't know, GameStop's last copies of new games, those are the ones they actually open up, pull the disc out, and stick the case on the shelf. So it's like I'm not paying new price for an open box. So what I ended up doing was keeping an eye on it on Amazon, and eventually found it there. And the picture they showed had the ESRB badge on it instead of the PEGI badge. And so I thought it was the North American copy. I thought, oh, maybe somebody bought some from GameStop and they're reselling it on Amazon. And so I ended up ordering it. But what arrived was the PAL version. And then just to add salt to the wound, a couple months later, I was at GameStop again and saw 2 used copies of the North American version. But the good news is the PS4 is region free, so it still works. I was still able to play it. A lot of fun. Finally actually beat the game too. So that was great. But it's a little sucky that I ended up getting an import copy, not intending to. But, you know, what can you say? Anyways, I also added to my PS1 collection. I thought I had this at one point. I think it was probably because I had the PS1 Classic downloaded over PSN. And but I ended up getting Oddworld Abe's Odyssey, and but it's a good game. It's not really my style, but it's a good game. What I love is on the back of the manual here, it advertises the Oddworld Inhabitants Quintology. So they had originally planned this as a 5-game series, and what only came out on the PS1 were the first 2 games, Abe's Odyssey and Abe's Exodus. And then when development shifted to the original Xbox, they did Munch's Odyssey and Stranger's Wrath. But then the franchise kind of went silent for a while until we got New and Tasty, which was the remake of Abe's Odyssey. Except they've recently done a Kickstarter or a Patreon or something for a 5th Oddworld game. So I think that's hilarious that they're finally going to make good on that 5-game promise. But I did also pick up the original Twisted Metal. I'm going to work on trying to get the others for this as well. I already had Black and 2012, but this is the original Twisted Metal. Fun fact about this, if you try to run the disc on a PS3, it will work because the PS3 is backwards compatible with PS1 discs, but there's no audio. This is one of those rare games where there are compatibility issues with the PS1 emulator on PS3. So you kind of pretty much need to run this on a PS1 or a PS2 or maybe through PC emulation if you're using the disc. I think this game is available on PSN, and I would imagine they fixed that issue as well. I don't know if it's because it's the green label or not, because I've had similar compatibility issues with other PS1 games, most notably my Tomb Raider games. Back when I was doing Let's Plays, I ended up having to download the PSN versions of Tomb Raider 1, 2, and 3 because my actual discs weren't running properly on the PS3 for some reason. But beyond that, I also finally completed the Crash trilogy on PS1. I don't know why I didn't have this before. But now I finally have Crash 2, so I have all 3 Crash games. The only ones I'm missing from the franchise on PS1, I think, are Crash Bash and CTR. So eventually I'll pick those up and have like the full franchise on PS1. But I do have the original trilogy now too, so that's good. Now here's another misadventure in the realms of game collecting. I ended up, the same time I picked up those last 3 PS1 games, I ended up seeing something else that I knew I had to get. And it was $30, which I thought was a really awesome deal. And me not doing my research, I thought this was perfect because I saw this. It's Suikoden on the PS1. But those of you who know about this game can probably spot something a bit odd. Yeah, this is supposed to be it's a single disc game, but it's supposed to be a double wide case for some reason, double wide jewel case, and this is only a single jewel case. It's got the original back art, and it has, this looks like the manual, like I thought it was the manual when I grabbed it. Reality, it's just the outer cover for the manual. That's all that's here, is just the outer cover for the manual, which really kind of sucks. But the disc is in good condition, it plays, but I ended up picking this up for $30, and I'm probably not going to keep this copy for much longer because a couple months later I was shopping around on eBay, and I found a complete in box copy, which I was able to snag for about $40. And this is much better. It even came in this really nice plastic box here, which I do use similar boxes for like my Super Nintendo and Game Boy Advance cases and so on, because they're just soft cardboard. But you can see this is supposed to be a double thick jewel case, but you can tell here it's only designed for one CD. I don't know why they ended up doing this, because it's really weird that you would see a single disc game not get a single layer jewel case. My best guess is because maybe the manual's too thick, because I mean the manual it's pretty thick. It's a pretty thick manual. But maybe the manual is too thick, or maybe it's because it's a JRPG, and a lot of JRPGs at the time were doing the double thick jewel cases because they came on 2 or 3 or sometimes even 4 discs. Oh, and that disc actually just fell out. Ugh. This disc is in really good condition too. There we go. But yeah, you can see the original art there. So I gotta be careful because that just popped out. But yeah, it's good to have that. It's probably, I haven't actually played this yet, and I really need to, but it's probably going to be a while before I end up adding Suikoden 2 to my collection, because that's another game that can get quite expensive. Complete in box, I think I was seeing it for around $175 to $225, so somewhere in the $200 range. But anyways, I definitely want to check that series out. I've been hearing great things about it for a long time. But moving on, I do have another PS4 game. I finally picked up Spider-Man for PS4, and I really, really enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun game. I've never played really any of the other Spider-Man games except for the original one on the PC. It was also on the PS1, and that was a fun game. But this one's pretty good too. And then moving on, I also picked up Fallout 76. I actually got a deal on this. They were selling it on Amazon for $35, and so I was able to snag a box copy, but there's only one problem. There's no actual disc in here. What this looks like a disc, it's just a cardboard thing with the code on the back side. So you can, if you freeze frame, you can try to use the code. I already redeemed it, so you're not gonna get anything out of that. So that really kind of sucks, because like, what's the point of a box copy if there's no disc in it? And I've had this happen before as well with Mass Effect Andromeda. EA did the same thing. There was no disc in the box, just a game code, which really sucks. But I still have a box still gonna sit on my shelf and look pretty. But I wouldn't have bought a box copy except for the fact that it was only $35, and they're still selling the game for like $60 online for just the code. Moving on, I may have talked about this before in my PC video, but Diablo 2 expansion set, Lord of Destruction. Now, if I don't remember if I talked about this or not on my PC video, but if I did, I would have mentioned that it was just the box at the time. Everything except the disc. The box, the manual, the jewel case, everything except the disc. Well, I ended up ordering the disc off of eBay. So now this is actually complete. Yes, the box is a little bit rough, but you know, what do you expect from a 20-year-old, 25-year-old big box PC game? Although that is not the only big box PC game I got. I finally snagged a complete in box copy of the original Age of Wonders. This is like one of my all-time favorite strategy games, and I am so thrilled to actually have a big box copy. More than that, I'm thrilled to actually have the manual, because again, I may or may not have talked about this on the PC video a while back, but you know, the copy I had of this game up till now was just the jewel case, pretty much. It originally came in like a little cardboard sleeve that idiot kid me threw away at one point, but it was pretty much just a jewel case with the box and an insert to explain how to install the game. And on that insert, it said, you know, the manual is on a PDF on the disc. Except I searched through that disc over and over and over, and the manual was never there. So I never was able to actually check out the manual for this game until now. I finally got this, and oh, it's so amazing to actually have this added to my collection. Now, as far as I know, the only box copy of this franchise I'm missing is I have to import a European copy of Age of Wonders 3, because unfortunately they did not put out a physical copy in North America. But Age of Wonders Planetfall is coming up soon. I'm really looking forward to that. I may end up streaming that when it comes out. I haven't decided yet, but we'll see. It probably depends on what my work schedule is, but I am really thrilled to have this. It's actually the 20th anniversary of this game this year, so I might end up streaming this one later on this year as well too. Just keep an eye on the channel. I'll let you guys know when I stream. So, anyways, I do have one last thing to talk about. I ended up snagging a PS1 Classic. Now, I haven't actually opened this yet. I've had it for a month or two. I haven't opened it yet. I probably won't. It's just because I've heard like not great things about it. Like a number of the games, they use the PAL copy instead. The emulation's not exactly great. But this does mean I do technically have copies now of Battle Arena Toshinden, Cool Borders 2, Destruction Derby, Final Fantasy VII, which I already had, Grand Theft Auto, Intelligent Cube, Jumping Flash, Metal Gear Solid, which I already had, Mr. Driller, Oddworld Abe's Odyssey, which I just talked about, Rayman, Resident Evil Director's Cut, which I don't have a copy of, but I do have the Resident Evil remake for both the GameCube, and I also have it on Steam in HD. Revelations Persona, which I'm excited about because that's the very first Persona game, which is kind of hard to get, I think, nowadays. Ridge Racer 4, Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo, Siphon Filter, Tekken 3, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six, Twisted Metal, which I already talked about, and Wild Arms, which I'm also excited about because, again, it's a pretty good JRPG. I actually picked this up for $30 at Best Buy. This was, again, a couple months ago. I think the actual price for these now is about $25 because they're really trying to get them. But considering this originally launched at, what, $90, $100, something like that? Yeah. I am keeping my eye on the Genesis Classic, though, coming up here in September. Anyways, that is it for this collection update / gaming pickups. I will see you guys next time with another one sometime in the future. I don't know when because it depends on what my buying habits are. I really need to slow down because there are things I need to get. Like I could really use a new monitor, a new desk, just a whole bunch of other stuff. So anyways, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Please remember to comment, rate, and subscribe.